I should get going.
Say hi to Gaia for me. Pizza?
Apparently it tastes worse the longer it takes to be delivered. Or something like that.
Maybe you can find the recipe?
I think it was just flat bread. With cheese. And some sauce.
I like it already. Ha! All right.
Hey.
Looks like things between you and Zoe are better now.
I suffered through a few hours of glaring silence. Then she seemed to move on. Sort of. How do people do this? How do I know if the next thing I say won't blow up in my face? What if an apology is not enough next time?
You give her a stuffed animal?
You're the worst. You know that?
What makes you
A band.
I should go hand this over to Gaia.
By all means.
It is good to see you again, Aloy. I see you have recovered Demeter. With the acquisition of Ether, Poseidon, and Demeter, my heuristic processing density has expanded greatly. I should now be able to absorb Hephaestus, and fortunately, we have made progress on a plan to capture it. With Varl's encouragement, Beta analyzed all available information on Hephaestus. Its expansion has been rampant. It is too large to be beamcast, and the kernel you've been using could never hold it. Therefore, it must be contained in a location with a direct physical connection to me. A place with 2 data cores.
2 cores. Where would we find a place like that?
Gemini.
An abandoned cauldron in the desert west of here. Seismic activity disrupted the original construction. 2 data cores were built as a result.
I've been there. The Tenakth marked the entrance as some kind of ritual ground. We'll have to bring you there by hand.
I have devised a blueprint for a suitable, albeit unwieldy, transport rig. It will require 2 people to carry it to Gemini.
I can help.
Once I am installed on the first core, I will call down Hephaestus on the other, trapping it. I will then initiate the merge. However, in order to construct the rig, I will need considerable help.
Can you build it? I suppose I could, but it's not gonna work. The Zeniths will find you. Minerva won't be able to conceal your location.
That is correct. Absorbing Hephaestus will create a significant power surge, easily detected by anyone capable of noticing.
But what if there were multiple power surges? To fake out the Zeniths? If Erend, Zoe, and Katalo spread out to the other cauldrons and create their own surges, would those conceal the one at Gemini?
Analyzing. Such a tactic might be effective. With Beta's help, we should be able to build a set of handheld pulse generators.
I told you it's not gonna work. I did a test. Hephaestus has written Alpha clearance out of its access module. You'll never be able to capture it. Then we need a higher level of clearance. There is no higher...
Ted Pharaoh's Omega clearance.
The one he used to purge the Apollo database and kill the Alphas. But to get it, you would have to find Thebes. The private bunker he retreated to when the world ended, and nobody knows where that is, not even the Zeniths. Their only intel was that it was somewhere in San Francisco. That might be all I need. Alva, the Quen diviner I met, said her people had set up a base at Landfall. They were searching for data in San Francisco from there. She might be able to help. So I guess I'm headed all the way west. While I'm gone, will you be able to build the rig and the pulse generators?
I'll try.
I'll make sure she has what she needs.
Alva said the Quen have a ferry on the coast that they use to get to the ruins of San Francisco. That's where I need to go.
Aloy, I have managed to unlock an additional room near the servers.
Understood. Hey, Gaia. I'm back.
So I see what is on your mind.
Beta's convinced we won't be able to capture Hephaestus. With that attitude, do you really think she'll be able to build the rig and pulse generators?
It may take some coaxing, but with some assistance I am confident she will.
I don't get her, Gaia. She's so quick to assume we'll fail. She's nothing like what I thought she'd be. I guess it'll be best if she stays here when we go to Gemini. All this data I've picked up in ancient bunkers and ruins. I guess I never really thought that other people would be looking at it.
Based on my observations, your companions engage quite frequently with this material. Erend has asked on numerous occasions about birthday parties. He appears perplexed by the tradition of serving a sweet confection, as it conflicts with the Oseram tradition of serving sparkling stout ale. He also suggested we host a party for you, as a surprise.
Yeah, no thanks.
That is what I predicted.
Is Katalo getting along with everyone?
Yes, though he prefers to spend most of the time alone. He appears to be collating data on war machine progression and significant battles during the Pharaoh Plague, to aid in the creation of a war map of Operation Enduring Victory. I believe he aims to study the tactics of old world warfare.
I'd be interested in seeing that.
It appears to be a private pastime for him. He has repeatedly declined my offers to assist his research.
So now that you have Aether, Demeter, and Poseidon, how's the biosphere looking?
In the local region, conditions have improved. Superstorms have subsided. Water sources have been purified, and soil conditions remediated. These improvements will stave off environmental collapse for a few additional months.
Well, with luck, soon you'll have Hephaestus. Then you'll be able to fix the biosphere for good, right?
Correct. I will be able to design and produce robotic agents to permanently reverse the environmental damage that has accumulated.
So our plan to capture Hephaestus. Let's go over it again.
As you wish. Thanks to Beta's test, we now know that Hephaestus will not respond to your Alpha clearance, which is why you will need to procure Ted Pharaoh's Omega clearance.
Right. From his personal bunker, Thebes.
While you are gone, I will assist Beta in building the transport rig and pulse generators. When we get to Gemini, I will need to be installed on one of the facility's cores. The second core is for Hephaestus. Using Omega clearance will allow you to trap it.
And then you'll be able to absorb it.
Not quite. You will need to manually remove Hephaestus's malicious code before the merge.
How long will that take?
There are calculations I still must run, but I estimate a few hours.
And during that time, the others will create a distraction for us using the pulse generators, right?
Correct. They will each take position at a cauldron door and fire off their device. The energy surge should mask our activities until the merge is complete.
And then we'll have everything we need to defeat the Zeniths. Sounds like a plan. There's something I've been wondering. How could Ted Pharaoh create a clearance level higher than Alpha? Elizabeth made sure he wouldn't interfere with the project.
It is plausible he tasked his own engineers with creating a back door to the Zero Dawn system, without Elizabeth's knowledge. My predecessor did not even know of its existence until he activated it to purge the Apollo database. It is, in effect, a blind spot. One that will allow us to subdue Hephaestus. And fortunately, thanks to Beta's information, we know where Omega clearance may be procured.
Right. Somewhere in San Francisco. So the facility where I recovered Demeter used to be a Faro agricultural research facility. It's where they created the biomass conversion system, but also adamantine wreath. Did Elizabeth know they were working on that?
It is likely she was briefed on other efforts to combat the machine swarm, though her focus was devoted only to Zero Dawn.
That makes sense. But they actually got the wreaths to work. If they've been able to deploy it against the Faro Plague in time...
Using the data you recovered on the project, I ran several simulations and have concluded that it would never have worked. In all scenarios, the Faro war machines would eventually hack and deactivate the wreaths before they could contain the swarm.
So Zero Dawn really was the only solution. There was a lot of data in the greenhouse facility about agriculture. Do you think it'll help the Quen fix their homeland?
I will run a query. Complete. The data contains information about novel crop production methods, which may be beneficial to the tribe in the long term.
But new crops aren't going to save the world, so I guess it's on us.
It is.
So Gemini has 2 data cores. I've never seen a cauldron like that. But you mentioned something about seismic activity?
When my predecessor attempted to build the cauldron, construction was disrupted by a series of earthquakes. The data core had already been built, but the rest of the facility sustained damage. So, she began again. A second core was built. However, when more tremblers occurred, she abandoned the site.
Lucky for us. Are the quakes still happening?
No, though they did also create instabilities in other facilities in the region.
Have you been able to make use of Demeter's functions?
Yes. I was able to mitigate most soil conditions and restore a temporary balance. You should notice less rampant plant growth in the area.
Maybe that'll give Plainsong's fields a chance to recover.
Unfortunately, recovery in that area is unlikely without the assistance of the Utaru's land gods. I have discussed this matter with Zoe. I believe we may have a workaround.
Yeah, I'm helping her out with that. There's something I'm still trying to figure out. Why was Demeter using flying machines to distribute metal flowers?
In its deranged state, Demeter was defending itself against a robotic swarm that would devour all plant life.
It thought the Faro Plague was still happening?
It feared it would come again. As part of its directive of reseeding Earth's vegetation, it sought to protect plant life at all costs. And considering it had 20 years to proliferate, I expect you will continue to find the fruits of its efforts for some time.
That's a good thing I have the code to dissolve the vines, then. The missing subordinate functions. What can you tell me about them?
Artemis rewilded the Earth with a variety of animal species. Eleuthia was responsible for gestating, nurturing, and acculturating a new generation of human beings. Apollo was tasked with preserving, organizing, and disseminating vast archives of human knowledge and cultural achievements. Unfortunately, all archived Apollo data was purged on the 2nd of February, 2066, by order of Ted Faro.
Pharaoh, huh? I really hate that guy.
Understandable. He appears to have been pathologically narcissistic, impulsive, and unstable.
All 3 of the missing functions have already served their purpose, or were prevented from doing so. Do you still need them?
Restoring their remaining elements would increase my heuristic processing density, empowering my overall function. Unfortunately, as we now know they are in the possession of Far Zenith, attaining them in the short term is very likely impossible.
I guess our best shot at recovering them is by taking over the Zenith base. But we'll need Hephaestus and a bunch of combat machines to do that.
Correct.
Were you able to make use of Poseidon?
Yes. Many rivers, streams, and lakes associated with the regional watershed have been detoxified. As a result, red algae growth levels have seen a marked decline. According to my data, however, it appears a localized occurrence of red algae continues to persist near the coast.
Maybe I'll look into it when I can. So, Poseidon spent the last 20 years hiding out in Las Vegas. From the data I found, it seems the city had an advanced water reclamation system. Is that why Poseidon went there?
Most likely. In an effort to protect itself, Poseidon sought out a safe harbor where it could access water supply functions. There, buried and encased in a protective dome, it could guard against any threats.
Like 3 Oseram showmen?
I suspect that was not the first time it felt the need to repel trespassers.
So, once Hephaestus has been recovered and merged, you'll regain the capacity to mass-produce machines at cauldrons around the world.
Yes, and to program their behavioral routines, or even control them directly.
So you could build an army of machines. Attack the Zeniths and take them out.
It is in my nature to take any and all necessary steps to preserve life on Earth, human life above all. So yes, once I have been empowered with the capacities of Hephaestus, I could design, build, and command such an army. Given the nature of the Far Zenith threat, doing so may be our only option. I must admit, however, that I have misgivings about using such technology to kill, no matter how aggressive the enemy.
That's good. It means you have a conscience. As Elizabeth intended.
Indeed.
You mentioned that the superstorms have subsided. Is that Ether at work?
Yes. Thanks to Ether's capabilities, weather patterns in the local region should mostly stabilize for the time being.
Well, that's a relief. Be nice not to have to fight my way through a storm anymore.
I will continue to stabilize the atmosphere for as long as I can.
Why did Ether take up residence in an ancient war museum?
As with the other subordinate functions, Ether needed to install itself on a processor with adequate storage and power. The one in the museum appears to have been sufficient, given that the holographic displays were still active.
So Ether was assured it could stay for as long as it needed to.
Correct. Though it is curious that it chose a place surrounded with the ancient ruins of aircraft.
Maybe it also felt at home there. I'll be off.
Farewell, for now.
I'm telling you, the old ones put blades on their feet and...
That's just I hear about you going west.
Turns out we need one last thing before we can grab Hephaestus.
Because it would have been too easy otherwise.
You've been looking at any interesting data?
I asked Gaia to find me something to look at a while back. And she found the mother of all forges. They called it sports. Turns out the old ones spent a lot of time tackling and punching each other for points in one game or another. Are you mixing some solid food and fresh ale? I bet half the claim will be lining up to watch.
How are things with Katalo? You still scared of him?
Oh, she thinks she's funny. Actually, I played strike with him. I had to fill in most of the conversation myself, but I'm still alive.
Glad to hear it. I need to get going.
I think I know the answer, but are you sure you don't need any help? Gaia mentioned this other tribe you found, the Quen. They sound like a nasty bunch.
I can handle them. In the meantime, Varl will help you get ready for what comes next.
Take care of yourself, Aloy.
Anybody seen one of my machine strike pieces around?
I'm sorry, Aloy. After all the trouble you went through, you have to head west again.
Well, no one said this was gonna be easy.
You sure you don't want any backup dealing with the Quen?
They think I'm Sobek, or something like that. They won't hurt me, but I doubt they'll be so kind to anyone else.
If you say so. Let me know if you need anything before you go.
You better not be slacking off on your studies while I'm gone.
And risk Zoe coming after me? I value my life. In fact, I've been reading about Ted Faro. How he destroyed the world and crawled into a hole after killing those who saved it.
He definitely was a piece of work. Well, Beta and Gaia built the rig. Can you get everyone ready for the mission ahead?
Of course.
What is it?
Nothing. It's just that everything's about to change. We'll get Gaia, and she'll help us set things right. No more Zeniths, no more derangement. It'll be a different world. I welcome it, but I wonder how the Nora will react. And the Karja, and well, everyone.
Let's just focus on fixing Gaia for now.
You're right. We've got an angry AI to take down.
If I get Omega clearance, and then we grab Hephaestus, we might finally have the advantage over the Zeniths.
Can't wait to see their faces as they stare down a bunch of charging Thunderjaws.
Better them than us, for once. I'll be in touch if I need anything.
I'll make sure Beta briefs everyone on the pulse generators.
Good.
Aloy, I hear you're going further west past the Tenakth clanlands.
Do you know anything about the area?
Only hearsay. The Utaru tell stories of an island that lies beyond the western coast. They call it the Isle of Spires. It is said the Old Ones built towers there that touch the sky, so they could live far away from the earth that bore them. As if they didn't want to be reminded that they'd one day return to it.
Sounds like something Ted Faro would do. How much have you read on Ted Faro?
Enough to wonder how a man who worked so hard to heal the world once could let greed and pride condemn it so easily. For one's spirit to diminish in such a way, I'm not sure if I should hate him or pity him.
You and Varl doing okay? Training, I mean.
We're doing fine. Although I admit it'd be nice to take a small break from studying, just the two of us. But then who'd look after Erend?
Well, there's always Katalo.
Leave a loud Oseram with a brooding Tenakth. What could go wrong?
What's everyone been up to?
I've been trying to share some of my meals with Beta. Thought it might help her feel more at home. Maybe even get her to sleep up here instead of in that dark basement. She would not be moved.
I appreciate you trying.
Patience reaps the best harvest. I'm not giving up hope yet.
Any progress with your plan for the Land Gods? Is the reboot code ready?
It is. But there is difficult work ahead. Gaia warned me that because the Land Gods are linked together in a network, the code must be delivered to all of them. Most are in Plainsong, but in recent years, 3 of them wandered off. So, T, and Do.
We have to find them?
No, we know where they are, but they're hard to reach. So, wandered into a lake and sank. Do ventured into a dangerous canyon, and T broke down amidst a herd of machines.
Okay. Tell you what. You go to Plainsong, handle all the Land Gods there. I'll take care of So, T, and Do. I'll need their locations, plus the reboot code.
I'm sending the data to you now. My people made shrines near where each Land God faltered. When you see them, you'll know you're close. And once again, thanks for your help.
We're not gonna let your people starve, Zo. I promise. Well, I should get going. Hopefully I can bring back what we need to capture Festus. After that, I'm gonna need everyone's help.
We'll be ready.
So this Festus, he's like Gaia's own person.
I'm no chaplain, but that is
Got a minute?
as many as you need.
I have to travel beyond the western coast.
To the ruins, shrouded in fog.
Yes. And I'm looking for a tribe, the Quen. I encountered them once before. They said they came from across the Great Ocean. I was hoping that Tenakth knew more about them.
There were rumors of trespassers in the area, but we thought they were just bandits. Hikaru sent out a patrol or two, but I don't recall them reporting back. We've had more pressing concerns, as you know. I'm sorry. That's all I can tell you.
It's okay. I guess I'll find out soon enough.
There is something I've been meaning to discuss with you. It's personal. If you have a moment to spare.
Must be strange, seeing everything through a focus now.
I can see machines like never before. Their strengths and weaknesses simply reveal themselves to me. To think that such a tiny object might be the most powerful weapon I've ever possessed.
What do you think of this place? It must take some getting used to.
It's an efficient center of operations, and an acceptable training facility. Though it could use some more color.
Duly noted. Anything interesting happen while I was away?
I found an acceptable place to practice with my blade.
Oh, and where's that?
Outside, above the base. There's a nest of sunwings that are always up for a fight.
Ever thought of sparring with something that's not trying to kill you?
That would defeat the purpose of the training.
Found anything interesting during your training?
Gaia told me where to find data on how wars were waged in the old world. I knew the Ten fought against machines, much as we do now, but it seems they were among the last of their kind. Later, machines battled other machines on behalf of greedy leaders, as they vied for lands and spoils. At least the Tenakth have the courage to put their lives on the line when conflicts arise.
There is nobility in that. But maybe we just need fewer conflicts in the first place.
Yes, of course. Hekarro would have it so as well.
Does it still hurt?
It comes and goes. I try not to think about it, but its absence is always present for me. It's difficult to explain.
I can't claim to understand. Only empathize.
Then you have my thanks.
Have you spoken with Erend at all?
I've had little chance to. I did see him bring some ale from out east.
That stuff's as bitter as salve-brush.
You get used to it, eventually. In fact, I wouldn't mind a drink myself.
I'm sure Erend wouldn't mind sharing. What have you been up to?
Varl has asked to learn the differences between my people's clans, so I've been teaching him Tenakth history. It is heavy with blood and death, but also with honorable deeds and vanquished tyrants. Maybe you'd like to hear about it as well, when our mission is done.
I'd be honored. What do Tenakth do to relax? You know, to take a break from training?
We play strike. Your Oseram friend, Erend, is surprisingly good at it, although he has yet to beat me. It helps one think strategically, hones the mind for tactics.
Somehow that still sounds like training. You said there was something you wanted to talk about?
I've been speaking with Gaia. She mentioned that the Zeniths bind metal with flesh to make themselves stronger. I was wondering if you'd help me do the same.
You want to make yourself a new arm?
Yes. Gaia insists she can help me build such a thing if I can get the necessary data and materials. She believes these things lie in the place where Beta hid from the Zeniths.
Their ancient research lab.
I am not as familiar with old world machinery as you are. I could use your assistance.
It might be dangerous. The Zeniths probably still keep an eye on that place. We were lucky to get out of there alive the first time.
I see.
It sounds like this is worth the risk.
By the 10, we shall see it through.
I should get going. I've got a long road ahead.
Should you need reinforcements?
I know who to call. I'll call you when I'm near the Zenith lab. We'll get what you need for that new arm of yours.
Thank you, Aloy.
If you keep frowning that hard, you'll get wrinkles.
I just don't get this last part.
Maybe we can look at it together later. Have a conversation.
I'd like that.
I know Varl meant well, bringing up Rost. I guess it's hard to talk about. With everything going on, it feels easier to set those memories aside. At least for now. Beta's so frustrating. I don't get how she can be so negative all the time. I mean, we're clones of the same woman, and yet she couldn't be more different from Elizabeth. When I met Hekarro, I figured he was just another bloodthirsty warlord. But Fashav was right. Hekarro wants peace. It won't be easy. But with his new marshals, maybe his vision has a chance.
I'm quite certain that it's a unique situation.
I know that. But there were...
Oh. Aloy. Hey. You got a second?
I suppose.
So do you have everything you need to build the rig and pulse generators?
Gaia sent me the schematics. The designs are modest, without the capabilities of Hephaestus, but they should work. Not that it matters without a mega clearance.
I'll find it. Just try to have the transport ready by the time I get back. So have you been upstairs at all?
Not really. Varl sometimes comes down here to talk. He keeps asking if I'm okay. I thought he only wanted to know about my productivity, but it's almost like he actually wants to talk to me.
Yeah, I think he does. Have you talked with anyone else in the base?
I speak with Gaia. She asks me how I'm feeling and my opinion on various topics. I didn't expect that from an AI.
That's all thanks to Elizabeth. She believed Gaia had to care, not just follow her programming orders.
I know. Independent emotional processing enabled the previous version of Gaia to create you, after all.
Yeah. I guess so. So, aside from Varl and Gaia, who else have you been talking to?
Zoe told me how you met after your escape from the Hades Proving Lab. I had no idea you were severely injured.
If the Zeniths had killed you, life on Earth would be doomed. My escape would have been for nothing.
But they didn't kill me. And thanks to Varl and Zoe, I was able to recover. You said you and Varl talk sometimes. What about?
He told me about your tribe, the Nora, and the proving ritual you did. I told him if I was born into the tribe, I'd never be able to do the proving.
It does require a lot of physical training, but there are plenty of other roles besides being a hunter.
I don't think I'd be suited for any of them.
Well, I guess it's a good thing you're not a Nora, then. What else can you tell me about Tilda?
She liked to talk about her paintings.
What about herself? Did she ever talk about her life on Earth, how she joined the Zeniths, something like that?
She never said much about herself, and she hated it when I asked too many questions. But I think, back on Earth, she was an expert programmer, given that she built a data channel the other Zeniths couldn't detect.
Is there anything else about her that we might be able to use to our advantage?
She was the first real person who ever bothered to speak to me. I wasn't really assessing her for strengths and weaknesses.
You said that Tilda reached out to you using a data channel?
It appeared in my training interface as another assignment. When I opened it, there were a series of intermittent glitches. I realized they formed a transpositional cipher. Instructions on how to open up a new virtual space. When I entered it, my training interface disappeared. Instead of the usual holographic teachers and files, I was in a perfect recreation of her home.
And you're sure the other Zeniths never knew about it?
To them, it looked like I was still in training. Toiling away. Alone.
So this secret virtual space looked like a house with an ocean view?
I could see whitecaps and hear waves crashing on rocks below. And there were gulls crying outside. Inside, Tilda had frames that showed off her favorite paintings, changing at intervals to match the light. There was an armchair she liked. She'd sit there and gaze outside while I looked through her things. We spent hours in that house. I never wanted to leave.
You said Tilda showed you paintings and let you access media files?
Every time we met, she showed me a new painting. I think she was Dutch. All of her favorite pieces were from their golden age in the 1600s. Portraits, allegories, ships at sea. She had so many.
They didn't interest you?
I liked her media portal. It had so much more than my training interface. Clips, shows, holos. My favorite was this one called Second Time Around, about a family whose kid comes back after disappearing during the Hot Zone crisis. Right, but did this portal have anything about the Zeniths themselves? Anything we could use? No. Any information about them was redacted. It's time for me to go. I'll check on you later.
Yeah, sure.
The old ones use holograms for everything.
It let them experience the great many things.
Holograms are illusions, though. I wonder if at some point... couldn't tell what was real anymore.
Maybe. They were intelligent, but that doesn't mean they were wise.
This.
I don't quite know.
Another room. What for? Oh, I'm back in the sleeping quarters.
Anybody seen one of my machine strike pieces around?
Why don't you check the cache? Maybe you left it there when you dropped off all that ale.
Oh. Guess it gets stained. Whoever replaced parchment for this deserves a good hammer.
Felt cold and
Aloy, it's a long way to the coast. If you need to resupply en route, I suggest stopping in Fall's Edge. It's a lowland clan village southwest of the Grove, in the heart of the jungle.
got it. Thanks for the advice.
with me, Outlander. I've got something to tell you.
Could look around with my focus. Try to match the Vista Point image. Glad I can help.
Try pushing it off!
I can grab this from my stash later.
We'll get you out, don't worry.
Mighty thankful to you, Savior.
Just Aloy is fine.
Aaron mentioned you're not one for fancy titles.
You're Vanguard.
Captain's got some business to deal with out west. So we've been cleaning up any bristleback carcasses we find. Didn't want them attracting any of their scavenger friends.
Would have been an easy task too if someone hadn't slipped trying to move the damn things.